Thank you all for coming. I'm just going to ask that everybody make their way to the third floor. We have a change in the program. We're going to start with the flag raising due to the weather, and then we're all going to come back to the room for the program, okay? Thank you.
Sailor in the mix. Sailor.
At least we have someone who's we need a patience.
That doesn't have any radar knobs on it.
When I was first in training, I had this repeater that you had to spin this thing. It didn't do anything, but they had me doing it for like 2 hours.
You had the cursor. Attach cursor. Use the air control. Spa forum.
That's right.
Early maybe.
The Dead Reckoning team.
Oh yeah. We called it the coffee table.
That's right, that's what it was. Big coffee table.
You're gonna be in the photo. That's what you're here for. Go ahead. Go stand next to the mayor. Oh, come on, guys. Over there.
Put in an order of sunlight.
No, about time a minute. Hey. Wait a minute. I am outnumbered over here.
Okay, so just take a couple steps back. Councilman, just take a step back. Yeah, we want these to like be straight out. Okay. Are we good? Here, let's hold it. And I think last time, Judo, you like held it together. See that? Right here.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not straight. You're good? Here. Councilman, come all the way up to the corner. Are we good? And then Mira, step down.
Stan, you have film in the camera?
Yeah, just hang there, guys. Just dated himself. Oh, wait, my finger is. No, it's not. Bruce, step up. I can't see you. Peek your head in. Come on. Don't put pressure anymore. Faces, smile. Okay. Can we do it now? Nope, not yet.
I just want to see how long you can last.
Okay, good. We're good? Okay. Good job.
You guys ready?
Wait, she wrote out like, oh, come
Good
on.
afternoon. Thank you all for attending. Please rise for the presentation of colors from our Jersey City Fire Department Engine 10 and our Jersey City Fraternal Order of Police Honor Guard. Please remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance and National Anthem. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'm going to ask Alexandra and Rosie Vero to come lead the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Mayor, please do a moment of silence.
Okay, if you can join me for a moment of silence, please. Please remain standing for the retirement of colors.
Honor God, right?
Councilman at Large Daniel Rivera, Ward C, Councilman Richard Ogiano, all the women and men who are here today, thank you. We would also like to acknowledge our council members who are here today: Rolando Lavarro, Joyce Waterman, Daniel Rivera, Mira Prince Airy, Richard Bogiano, and James Solomon. And Joyce Waterman, excuse me. This week, the City of Jersey City is taking time to recognize two very special events. Today, the flag raising ceremony, and Saturday, our Veterans and Heroes Parade. I would like to take this opportunity to thank my co-chair, John Froling, the Veterans Task Force Committee, the volunteers, and the food sponsors. We are grateful of the continued support of the mayor, the council members, the Office of Cultural Affairs, the Division of Veterans Affairs under the Department of Health and Human Services. It is important to take time to recognize and honor the service of our men and women in uniform here as well as overseas. Our veterans and service members who have given their lives for our country. It is because of their ultimate sacrifice that their families that are here today encouraging those that are at sea. And our freedom is not free. It is free because of them. It is our hope today that by recognizing a few standout member services of our veteran community, that we can highlight the sacrifice of the brave individuals and remind our civilian brothers and sisters, freedom is not free. Today we honor our 2019 Grand Marshal, Assemblyman Raj McCurkey, our 2019 honorees, Charles Sampson, Ruth Portner, Stephen DeLuca, Derek Farthing, and Anthony Machino, who is not here today because his wife had just passed away. We are also honoring Sergeant James T. Murphy and his family. Again, we thank you all for your support, for our special performers and the Hank Fellows, who is the songwriter of two of the poetic songs that will be performed later. At this time, I will ask Mayor Stephen Fulop to come and give a welcome address.
Okay, I want to say thank you to Randy and the Veterans Commission here for putting this together. They're volunteers. They do a lot of time in City Hall and Health and Human Services. So if you could just join me in recognizing them and saying thank you. I would just say quickly before we hear from Raj that since our administration took office in 2013, veteran initiatives have been an important part of our objectives. Partially because of my personal service in the Marine Corps, but partially because I think it's a responsibility as an American to take care of those who served. We've been at the forefront of a lot of different initiatives. We built housing for homeless veterans with some of the partners in this room. We reinstituted a Veterans Day parade. There was no shortage of parades in Jersey City, but we thought that this was a priority to start again 3 years ago. And most recently, last year, we partnered with some of the individuals in this room to fully renovate and raise $60,000 to fully renovate our VFW post here in Jersey City. And none of those would be possible without some of the partners in this room, men and women who served. And so we're thankful for that. And our commitment to you is that Jersey City will continue to be a leader on veteran initiatives. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Randy to introduce our keynote speaker. Thank you.
At this time, I'm going to ask Assemblyman Raj McCurkey to come and give special remarks.
Thank you, Randy, and thanks for everyone. Thanks to everyone participating here today, and for all those who served, our veterans. Thank you for your service. Although we wish it weren't so, sometimes it takes war to achieve peace. War has been necessary time and time again to defend the vast, nearly unfettered liberties we enjoy here in the world's greatest democracy. and to protect the liberties of our sisters and brothers throughout the world who couldn't protect themselves, or to provide humanitarian aid to save those fellow global citizens. But for the veterans of the American Revolution, we wouldn't even be here. There would be no America. But for the veterans of the Civil War, imagine the continued plight of our sisters and brothers of color in this room here today. But for the veterans of World War II, we might not even have a mayor, because as the descendant of Holocaust survivors, the people of an entire faith may have been eradicated from this earth by forces of unfathomable evil. Everybody in this room is aware of, everybody in this room celebrated the end of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi's reign of terror when U.S. Special Forces killed him a week and a half ago. But a day later, some of you might have missed the news about Abu al-Hassan al-Muhajir, because our troops got that SOB in Aleppo, and he was like number 2 to al-Baghdadi, and was a spokesman for ISIS, and was the front runner to replace al-Baghdadi as the head of ISIS. Very significant. And many civilians to this day may never have heard of, don't know who al-Muhajir even is. And that doesn't make you uninformed, that doesn't make you not well-read. We all have a lot going on. It's impossible to keep up with every national security event of significance. But you and I don't have to know who al-Muhajir is, or even any of his potential replacements. Those in uniform, those in our national security apparatus, have got that handled for us. They have that covered every day. They will continue to fight those fights on our behalf. So we don't have to be aware of what they're doing every day. And they'll miss the holidays coming up that we civilians get to enjoy with our families while they're deployed to a faraway land, occasionally being allowed to FaceTime with their kids when satellite internet is working. And when many of the people in this room served, you didn't have satellite phones, there was no internet or FaceTime, and if you were lucky and you had time, you maybe got out a letter in between dodging aerial assaults and sniper fire, and putting together the little heaters and the MREs and making the little MRE bombs with the hot sauce packets. Yeah. Meatloaf was my favorite. So election day just passed. I hope everyone in this room took advantage of their opportunity to exercise their right to participate in the political process, however you voted, because it is such a fundamental right that we have and we enjoy as Americans. Because throughout the world, in certain despotic nation states, they don't enjoy that right. I'll tell you a little story. This is 2019. 2009, 10 years ago, in August, my friend, a fellow sergeant who served in the 4th CAG Reserve Unit in the Marine Corps that I served in, Bill Kayer, who was also a former reporter, congressional candidate. Sergeant Kayer was in the Helmand province in Afghanistan, deployed with the CAG. And he was cutting Taliban trade supply lines and disrupting their routes to protect the Afghan people's newfound right to vote. His wife was pregnant with twin daughters he would never meet. He was killed with a single gunshot wound to the throat in August 2009, over a decade ago. And that's the kind of sacrifice that our veterans have made throughout the history of our democracy to protect the freedoms we enjoy. So this day is to express our gratitude for the sacrifice of every American who wore a uniform and carried an F-16 to defend our flag and freedom. This day is for you. And many of those veterans have gone on to continue to serve the public out of uniform, including our mayor, Steve Fulop, a Marine who deployed the first wave in Iraq, Councilman Rich Bargiano, another former Marine, Councilman Danny Rivera, another former Marine. I think with 4 Marines on this stage, it's rare that we outnumber the other branches, but I know that there's several in the audience. Semper Fi and happy birthday. As President Kennedy said, as we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. So how do we live by our words of gratitude? How do we show it to our veterans? We can start by treating our veterans right and saying thank you. Those of you who served in Vietnam came home at a time when not everyone remembered to thank you. And I hope the America of today is making up for that inexcusable slight. We can start by treating our veterans right, literally treating in terms of health care, medically, making sure they get the care they deserve, which under today's VA health system is not happening. And not all wounds of war are visible. Post-traumatic stress and other mental health issues continue to plague service members as they transition to civilian life. And helping our vets deal with substance abuse addiction issues without stigmatizing it must be part of the solution. I'm very proud that in Jersey City, we're also doing something by getting veterans off the street. HUD estimates 58,000 homeless veterans throughout the United States on any given night are out there without a roof over their heads. Here in Hudson County and in New Jersey, we're trying to make sure that that isn't so, because that's an absolute travesty. Just think, this weekend and this Monday, when we celebrate Veterans Day, nearly 60,000 people who served in uniform in this first world democracy throughout the country are out on the street. But what we did here in the city at 65 Ocean, and by creating veterans housing, by creating new units, legislation I've been proud to sponsor that's now been signed into law, like the Veterans Affordable Housing Sectioning Voucher Pilot Program, creating preference affordable housing for veterans. What they did, the American Legion Post and Hoboken Post 107, by creating units dedicated to veterans, just like Mayor Fulop and the labor building trades did here in Jersey City. These are steps we're taking to pay it forward. And everybody in this room, veteran or not, we can pay it forward. And this will be my concluding note. We can pay it forward by serving our community in all different ways. Volunteers are not paid, not because they're worthless, but because they're priceless. And you can apply to the folks sitting to my left to serve on the library board, on the planning board. You can run for office yourself. You can just show up to Liberty State Park on a day we're doing the cleanup. You can help out your neighborhood association, participate in your condo association's governance. There are so many things you can do to pay it forward and to pay tribute to the veterans who risked their lives to protect the freedoms we enjoy. I'm not sure, having never deployed to combat, I'm not sure I deserve to be the Grand Marshal of this year's parade, but I'm humbled and thank the committee on behalf of all who did see combat, from Yorktown to Gettysburg, from Normandy to Iwo Jima, from Incheon to the Chosin Reservoir, from Khe Sanh to Saigon, from Fallujah to Kabul to Kandahar. Our heroes and sheroes in uniform and their families have sacrificed and risked life and limb to protect all of us here at home and our liberties. And as the Korean War Memorial reads in D.C., generation after generation of patriotic Americans did this, not just for us back home, but to defend countries, quote, they never knew, and the people who they've never met, end quote. This day is for them, this day is for you. We have the comfort of sitting here and enjoying those liberties because somebody in uniform out there is not going to be home for Thanksgiving with their wife or husband or newborn. Somebody in uniform out there is going to miss their Hanukkah and Christmas. And this Veterans Day, keep them in mind and thank them. And to the veterans here today, thank you. December 10th.
At this time, I will ask our keynote speaker, Ronaldo Linares, to come forth.
Hi everybody, how you doing today? Thank you for having me here. Randy and Juliet, thank you for making this happen. I'm not going to talk much about myself. You guys know my name already. I want to share a story of one of those veteran heroes, those that were in war. I have the privilege to have a father who's in the American history books. He goes under the name Martin Reyes Linares. He was under a war during the Cuban times, the Bay of Pigs in 1961. A CIA-sanctioned mission. Over 1,500 soldiers went down into Cuba. 1,200 made it back. My father was one of them. But the story is not just that. When they landed in Cuba, he was captured. But after fighting through the jungle, fighting through the swamps, with a machete, getting into a village, and being there for about 2 days until somebody ratted him out. He tells me the story that that's when he kind of found his passion for cooking, and that's what I do for a living. He made pollo a la reina for them, which is, it translates to the Queen's chicken, which is not a great sounding dish in English, but in Spanish sounds amazing. He made this for them, and they were very happy because they were getting fed after he negotiated himself to stay there. See, my father's 5'3" tall, very, very pale skin, green eyes. He does not look human at all. So the people were afraid, but he told them, nah, I'm here. I'm here to help you out. But somebody ratted him out. When you get captured during that time, you were in a big line, a single file line, and at the other end was Fidel Castro and Raúl Castro. That line, when you approach Fidel Castro, you ask you one question: why are you here? My father was standing in line. You know, he could think about, what am I going to tell this guy? Because I know if I answer incorrectly, I might die. You see, if he didn't like the answer, to his left, he said, go left, you will get into a truck. They will drive you somewhere, take you out, kill you, put you in the ground. If he took you to your right, he said, go to the right, you will spend your time in jail. So as my father got closer, his anxiety built up. Hands got sweaty. He was like, I gotta tell him the truth, I can't lie to him. You know? My man of honor, he was a Marine as well. And one of the reasons I joined the Marine Corps, became a veteran. So Fidel Castro looked at him, and he said, ¿por qué veniste acá? Why are you here? My father looked at him, both 5'3" tall, green eyes, blonde hair. He said, I'm here to kill you. Fidel Castro looked around, and he might be exaggerating. My father at that, he said, mírate chico, que me viene a matar a mí, he's here to kill me. And my father looked at him and said, yeah, I came here to kill you. That's my mission. And, you know, with all due respect, Fidel Castro looked down at him, and he said to him, you know what? I need people like you in my military. I want you to join my military. I'll give you a commander's position. I'll give you the highest position to help me run my military. He's like, no, you didn't hear me. I'm going to kill you. So after a few minutes, right then and there, my father said, I'm done. I am done. So he sent him to the right. Big relief. But there's more to that, right? He spent 3 years in jail, in the Cuban junks, with 1,200 other soldiers. The way he got through there is the funniest part, though. So when he went into jail the first night, they threw a bunch of magazines in the middle of the room, and they said, go pick up a magazine. My father wanted a nice magazine to read, like a really nice magazine, right? He reached in hand, and the only thing he wrote out was a big black book, right? Which is the Bible. He's never seen the Bible. He was not a religious man. He opened that Bible and read it, not understanding what it was. He read the whole thing without knowing it was a Bible. But then someone else told him what it was. He learned about it. But a passage in there he read, and it was to believe in the unknown, right? Speaking into existence, it will happen. So every day, once he got that message, he went outside in the courtyard. He stood on this water fountain that was not working. He would tell everybody, tomorrow we're going to get liberated. We're going home for 3 years. Now everybody's like, Martin, stop talking nonsense. And finally, his message came through. That next day, they came into the squadron or whatever, and they said, you're going home. You are free to go home after 3 years. And he said, you see, I was right. He told everybody I was right. And because of that story that we don't get to hear, right? We know a lot of veterans go out there. We have combat veterans here, and I thank you for allowing me to be up here. You know, that story, I've never told it to anybody, just in my inner circle. And, you know, my father now lives in Colombia, 90 years old. He lived by himself in Colombia. It was amazing. But through his bravery, that's why I joined the Marine Corps, because I wanted to give my sons something to look up to and something to look forward to doing. Because I believe every American should serve their country, so we could keep having a free country. So I wanted just to share that. I didn't want to talk about myself today. I wanted to, and I had like 3 minutes, and there you go. But I thank you for coming here, and please recognize your veterans, those that are still serving, those that are combat veterans, which are the most important, I think, and those veterans out there trying to make a difference. Thank you, guys.
At this time, I'm going to ask if there are any council member or women that would like to come up and say a few words?
I'm going to keep this real short. We're going to let a couple of council members if they want to come up. But happy Veterans Day to all the veterans that are here today. Big hoorah from the United States Marine Corps from my part, to my fellow Marines out there. But just to let you know, this Veterans Day is for everybody. I love you all. Thank you. Be good.
Charlie, I just want to say one thing. 63, send me a fine.
At this time, I'm going to ask Mayor Fulop and the council members to present the proclamation and the citations of the honorees.
The first honoree we want to recognize is the citation is Assemblyman Raj Mukherjee. The one and only Charles Sampson. Ruth Cordner. Stephen Galuka. Derek Farley. And the last one is Anthony Manaccio. Thank you. You want to join us in front here for a quick picture? Council.
All the honorees.
Congratulations to all the honorees. We will now have a special performance, The Spirit of America.
I see children at play, their mothers are saying, let them be strong as they grow. I hear old men tell stories of love, war, and glory when they were still young long ago. And all along their journey, I feel that light still burning, so deep inside my soul. It's the spirit of America. I feel it in my heart. Generations come and gone, where each one did their part. Of those who served and fought and died, so our children can run free. A land where truth will always live and fear will never be. I see lovers and dreamers, poets and schemers, all side by side in the sun. I see those who are stronger, helping those who take longer, so they're home by the time day is done. And all along the byways, the back roads and our children can run free. A land where truth will always live and fear will never be. It's the spirit of America, I feel it in my heart. Of generations come and gone, where each one did their part. Of those who served and fought and died, so our children can run free. A land where truth will always live and fear will never be. A land where truth will always live and fear will never be.
Beautiful performance, thank you. At this time, I'm going to ask Juliet Foster to come and give closing remarks.
Juliet Foster might want to pay attention to the program so she's ready when she comes to the microphone, huh? Good evening, everyone. You know, as I gave pause to what to say tonight, I remember that Charles Sampson had pulled up in the office the proclamation for today, and I just want to read one paragraph that really stood out to me that I thought was reminiscent of this day and what all of you fought for so that I could stand here before you and enjoy my freedoms. So it said, whereas as proud Americans, it is our patriotic duty to uphold the founding principles for which veterans have fought and died by working for peace, freedom, and security. We must also preserve their legacy so that their service and sacrifice may be taught to future generations of Americans. We must renew our promise to support our troops, their families, and our veterans for their unwavering devotion, which inspires us all as they reflect the best of America. I can't think of a better tribute to those who served and have died, that we've lost, to those who are here in this room and supported us through things, and those who are still overseas continuing to support us. So I would just love to close in a prayer if no one is in objection to that. If you are, I won't. No? Okay. Father God, thank you so much for this day, for this opportunity, for this weekend, to remember who you called to serve America, for those men and women who went before us to live and die in bravery. Thank you so much for the men and women who are here in this room, continuing to serve not just their country, but their community. Thank you, God, for this evening, for the safety thereof. I pray that as everyone leaves, that you give us safety to our homes and bring us back joyous and ready to serve again Saturday morning at the parade. That you protect those who are marching on the parade on Saturday. Thank you to our council members, our mayor, our men and women who are in service, our firefighters, our police officers, our paramedics, and thank you for just the opportunity to be here today and give glory to those who have gone before. In your name, amen. Thank you, everyone.
I'd like to thank the U.S. Census Bureau for having a table outside. This concludes our event. Please join us on the 3rd floor for the art exhibit and the reception. Thank you all.